How to stop obsessing over someone who's just not choosing you. I get it. It's the fucking age-old question. How do I stop chasing after somebody who is not reciprocating, who is not showing up in the ways that I need? And the reality is, it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing in the world, but it is going to take a shit ton of self-awareness and compassion for your fucking self. So, for anybody who doesn't know, my name is Sabrina Zohar. I'm a relationship and dating coach, and I'm the host of the Sabrina Zohar Show. And I am here to give you some no bullshit, straight up advice. So let's get into it. And if you guys need more, listen to the podcast right here on YouTube. Let me guess. They're inconsistent, they're confusing, they're hot and cold, and somehow still the only fucking person that you're thinking about. You're checking your phone, you're replaying every interaction, and it's like they live rent-free in your nervous system and in your brain. And this video is not about shaming you guys. It's about understanding why your brain is stuck on someone who isn't fucking choosing you and how to actually get unstuck. I talk about this shit all the time on the podcast or even just in my content because it's so normal. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down what's actually happening in your brain and your body when you feel just obsessed with somebody. Yes, some can call it limerence, but especially with someone who's emotionally unavailable, because we're going to cover the dopamine trap, we're going to cover some attachment wounds and some tools to reset your nervous system and stop chasing the fucking breadcrumbs. Guys, I did it for much too long. And again, I go deeper into this on the podcast, especially the episodes on limerence and anxious attachment. And if you're ready to fully unhook from chasing emotionally unavailable people, you guys can check out my foundation course, and it gives you a full roadmap, and everything is going to be linked below. So let's get right the fuck on into it, shall we? So, first off, why we obsess over the unavailable. And it's we typically obsess over people that don't make us feel safe. So an example of like, what do you mean the unavailable? So let's say you like go on 3 dates with somebody. They're flirty, they're charming, and they give you just enough to keep you hooked. So maybe they flame a story on your Instagram, but they're not actually engaging in a full conversation. Maybe they respond saying how hot you look, but this person's not showing up in any capacity of depth, of quality, of something that actually could build any kind of safety. And when they give you just enough to keep you hooked, then they pull away, and now you're not even sure if you fucking like them or if you just wanted the validation. And so what's actually happening in your brain, like the psychology and the neuroscience of that, dopamine-reward system. So unpredictable reinforcement is addictive. So it's the same as slot machines. That's why a lot of people end up becoming addicted to that type of shit. And it's the same mechanisms. That's why people get addicted, because your brain has the intermittent reinforcement. I want more of this. Ooh, there's a high. Okay, they're being unpredictable. I don't know when they're actually going to show up for me. Then when they do, you're like, oh, yes, they chose me. I'm good enough. And then they don't. You fill in those blanks with like, no, there's something wrong with me. Oh my God, they don't like me. What if I said too much? What if I was too needy? Oh my God, what if I did this? And then you're sitting there with this fucking withdrawal because you need more dopamine, and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. You're getting that intermittent reinforcement. Then you get it from them. Oh, okay, I could breathe again. And then there's a cognitive dissonance here. The mind can't make sense of it. So it felt good versus they're pulling away. But I understand, but it felt good. And especially like when you have anxious attachment, just attachment in general that's activated, especially for the anxious daters, unavailability mirrors those old abandonment wounds. But the reality is your body isn't obsessed with them. It's obsessed with the fucking relief. It's relief from the uncertainty, from the anxiety, from not knowing where you stand. But that's why we have to differentiate. And that's why I will always tell you guys, take this person off the fucking pedestal. Stop making these people something that they're not by consistently saying, like, listen to the story that you're telling yourself. When you're obsessed with somebody, when you're idealizing them, when you're putting them on a pedestal, what are you saying about them? They're so amazing. They're so incredible. They are this. They are that. They are this. And then what are you saying about yourself? What is the story that you've created about yourself because they didn't choose you? What is the narrative that you are convincing yourself of? I'm not good enough. I'm too much. I knew no one was going to like me. That is all then right there. So what happens? Your default mode network going in that rumination of spiraling of like, they don't like me, they don't want me, they don't da-da-da. Then you have the dopamine in the ventral striatum that's starting to get released. Then the salience network kicks in, and that's the part of your brain that's scanned. So if you go outside right now and you say, I want to find a red car, you'll find a fucking red car because your brain is scanning for that consistently. And so that's why we want to fucking shift that. And so we have to look, are you chasing a person or are you chasing a pattern? Something I knew all too well, which is why I kept dating the same versions of my fucking father, even though I kept saying, but that's not what I want. I don't want that. I want somebody who's more secure. That's that cognitive dissonance. I really want this, but yet here's what I'm accepting. Because what I believed about myself, what I genuinely believed about myself was I am too much. And that manifested in every person that I dated. I remember once I had a client and they said, I don't even know if I liked him. He was rude. He was avoidant. I was miserable, but I couldn't stop fucking thinking about him. And baby, that's not love. That's your nervous system reliving a wound that isn't healed. Because then we have something called trauma repetition. You're not drawn to them, you're drawn to what's familiar. And if you're somebody who's familiar with inner child work or IFS work, we have to start to look at what part of me believes that. Who taught me that there's something wrong with me? Right? You're not a grown adult chasing a fucking stranger. At that point, then you become a 7-year-old trying to prove to yourself and trying to get love from someone to prove that you are lovable. And again, like we talked about the salience network, that part of the brain highlights emotionally relevant info, even if it's harmful. So if that's a pattern that you know, I always go back into this. Growing up for me, I had a caregiver that really solidified that thought process that love has to be earned. There's something wrong with me because they couldn't handle children's emotions. They were narcissistic and they would either blow up or scream or walk out or hit us or be dismissive. So of course I grew up, and then I had my mom who was a people pleaser who didn't have a backbone. She didn't know what to say. She was scared. That was what she was taught. That's why she was with my father. And so when you mix that, what's going to come out? Somebody who is constantly seeking, you're going to leave me. You're not going to want me. And then what do? I change how I behave. I start to chase after people. No, but you're here. Oh my God, but what if I never meet this person? Talk about scarcity fucking mindset. And when we get into that limbic part of our brain, that's what I mean by that inner child. If you don't want to believe in it, you don't fucking have to. But it is the lizard brain, and that's the amygdala that stopped growing when you're 6. That's why you'll be like, why you sound like a child? Why do you sound like you're a fucking kid? It's not coincidental. It's because it's the part of your brain that you're going into when you're dysregulated. So you actually want to stop obsessing. Let's talk about some tools. So we need to cut off the dopamine drip. And I know you're not going to like this. You're going to probably hate this, which is also why I say stop with the fucking texting. Stop with the texting every single day when you don't know these people. That's where you get addicted to somebody because you're addicted to the chase and the high and the feeling. And oh my God, but maybe they're just out of reach enough to where they're going to reaffirm my core belief. So baby, I need you to mute them. I need you to delete their number. I need you to stop fucking lurking. And every time you see their story, your brain resets the obsession loop because it's not about willpower. It's about removing the cue. It's no contact and all of that isn't just a buzzword. And no, it's not about how do you get someone back. It's how do you move the fuck on and stop going after people who are not choosing you as well and stop making them what they're not. They're not that great. They're not that amazing. How amazing could you be if you still don't choose me or want a relationship with me? So then we go into the next tool, the nervous system reset. Again, if you guys are interested in more, this is why Masha and I, she's a nervous system specialist, one of my good friends, we have a nervous system course that is designed to help with like the instability with texting, the unknowns, all of those things. So check it out. But a tool that you could use is the nervous system reset. So for short term, you could do cold exposure. Bilateral movement, you go just for a fucking walk, you could do some breath work. Now, people like to snap back, bilateral movement is not EMDR. Never fucking said it was. But it activates different parts of your fucking brain when you go outside for a walk because you're using your feet, doop, doop, doop. And then your brain is activating different things, especially when you scan for safety, when you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can smell, hear, 2 things I can smell, 1 thing I can taste. When you incorporate your senses, you turn on your prefrontal cortex, so you come from decision-making and common sense. I could talk today. The long-term kind of what we do here is like co-regulation. Have a friend, a colleague, a therapist, somebody that you can call that you feel safe with, and you're those moments that you can even hug. Inner child work. Trust me, that is a huge thing I have. We got some podcast episodes on that if you need help with that, or talk to a fucking IFS therapist, and understanding your triggers. That way you'll know, oh, okay, this gets me dysregulated. Welcome to self-awareness, babies. And then the third tool, it's called a cognitive reframe. So we need to start reframing shit. It's not a rejection, it's redirection. If someone can't choose me with clarity, it's a blessing that they're out of my fucking life because my job isn't to win them over, it's to honor my goddamn clarity. I have been hooked on so many people in the past, and the reason I stopped it is because I was this one guy in Venice, I was fucking obsessed with him, the idea of him. And the reason I was obsessed with him is because he was the cool guy. He was the guy that every girl wanted, and if I could just get him, I was obsessed over him. I was nonstop looking at so many things on my phone and Instagram. And is he contacting me? Did he DM me? Did he message me? Is he going to want a date? I had completely self-abandoned. And I was only obsessing over him because he didn't create safety. I wasn't out. Oh, why are you going to obsess over somebody when safety is created? Your brain's like, that's weird. Don't know about that. Never had that. Next. So guys, I want you to know, if you're obsessing over someone who's not choosing you, I want you to remember this. You're not fucking weak. You're not broken, and you're not too needy. You're just wired for that type of connection. And you've been giving that connection to the wrong person. So guys, again, thank you for sitting with me. If you need help, the foundation course will literally help to rewire so you can stop chasing safety in someone else and start creating that shit in yourself. And as always, guys, if you want more of this, listen to the Sabrina Zohar Show on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever the fuck you find your podcast, right here on YouTube. I will link everything in the below, and we've got some free guides if you need any more. Thank you guys for sitting with me, and I hope you learned something today.